everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how to make this cute hanging sloth sign. This is a Glowforge series video. I will provide the link to the SVG files in the description below. You can find it on my Etsy shop. And these are Glowforge ready, so you just download, load the file into your app, and then print them out. So let's start making. When you purchase the file, it is Glowforge ready. You just need to extract it to a folder and then go to app.glowforge.com, create, upload the file, locate the file, and then open it. And this will fit on a single sheet of 1/8 inch plywood. Once you load the file, you'll notice that there are a lot of operations listed on the left-hand side. If the circle is grayed out, you may need to move it up slightly or move it down slightly, but it will just fit on a sheet. So the first operation is for the score marks for the leaves, and you'll need to set that to score, and I always change the focus height to auto. The second operation is for the engraving to separate the legs from the body and the toes. That needs to be set to engrave. Again, set the focus height to auto. The third operation is an optional operation. This is the engraving on the tree. If you want to save time, you can leave that off or ignore it, but I set this to engrave. Set the focus height to auto. The fourth operation is the score marks to help you with placement. This is also optional. You can set this to score. Also set that focus height to auto. The fifth operation is the engraving to make the sign a shiplap sign. This is optional. I like the effect of this, so I set that to engrave and set that to auto. The next operation is the cut marks for the body, the face, the nose, the eyes. Just leave this as cut. Also set that to auto, focus height. And the last operation cuts out the tree as well as the circle base. That should be set to cut, focus height to auto. And then I like to go and set the focus to get the exact height of the material. So I just focus the center of the material. And you'll choose whatever materials that you have. Choose the right cut settings, engrave settings, and all that. For this one, I'm using the medium draft board. That works well on the birch that I'm using. And then once that's focused, I just go back and make sure that all of those operations still have a focus height set to auto. Sometimes it will revert back. And hit print. Wait for it to calculate how much time it will take, and then you'll be ready to hit the button. This is just an inside look at Blaze, that's the name of my laser, doing her thing. Shouldn't take too long to cut through this entire file, so just sit back and watch her go. Hopefully this doesn't need to be said, but never ever leave your laser unattended. Fires can happen. Unmask all of your materials, sand if necessary. We'll start with the circle base, and I'm just going to whitewash it. So I just take white, thin it down a bit, wipe it over the surface, wipe it off, and here's my result. So now I'm going to paint the leaves, and I find it easiest if I put a piece of tape down upside down to hold them in place. And to make it easy on myself, I'm just going to use my paint markers. So I have two different shades of green and brown. The darker green on the outside, the lighter green on the inside, and the stem painted brown. Now we'll paint the nose, the eyes, and the toes. So for the nose and the eyes, I use black with the white highlights, and then I used a light brown mixed with a little bit of white for the toes. For the tree, I still want some of the wood grain to show through. So what I like to do is just take like a chocolatey brown paint, fairly dark, and just water it down a little bit so that it'll act more like a stain. I just messily brush it on, making sure that everything is covered. Again, I just want this to be like a stain, so I wipe off the excess, and since I just slopped it on there, I also wipe off the sides really well. So now that some of the easy stuff is out of the way, let's spend a little time on his face. I use a variety of different shades of brown as well as white, and I layer them in strokes to get a look of fur. So here's the finished product, and I'll go into more detail when I do the body. So on the body, I start with a base coat of brown, darker brown. Then I layer the next shade up, then another shade. I still wanted it a little lighter, a little more definition, so I took that last shade that I used and I mixed it with white to add one more layer of strokes to give it a little more dimension. And then I finish it up with the first color that I started with, the base coat, and I go in where the legs meet the body and the head meets the body, and I put some shading in. And here's how he looks with all those different strokes of colors and with the shading around the legs and around the head. Now that everything's painted, it's time to assemble. So we start with the tree and the leaves, and we just want to get that glued down to the circle base. And you can use these score marks to help with the placement, especially with the tree. So get that lined up. And once you have it all lined up, then you want to clamp it in place. Then we can work on the leaves. And you'll notice that the leaves have the stems going in two different directions, so pay attention to the score marks on your board to see which leaves to place where. There's only two options, so it's not too difficult. As far as the gluing goes, the leaves probably take the most amount of time to get placed. Once you're done, just set it aside to set up. Now it's time to work on the little sloth's face. So I start out by gluing the nose to his face. And you'll notice that they'll probably get some glue inside of there. So I just take a toothpick and I wipe out the excess glue. And I also painted black behind on his face. So next I place the eyes and use those score marks to help align them. And then it's time to put his face onto his head. How cute is that little face? Now let's attach his head to his body. Let's work on the final assembly. We want to place the sloth just below the tree so that the top of his arms butt up against that tree. I would place them where there's no engraving marks on the tree. And then you can glue his legs. I left a slight gap between the body and the legs, just a slight one. Now all that's left is to glue the little toes on. So there's two sizes, there's the shorter ones and the longer ones. The shorter ones go at the top, the longer ones go at the bottom. And just align those kind of in the middle of the arms, of the legs, arms and legs, with a little bit peeking above that tree branch. And then place the longer ones on the bottom leg and arm. Just clean any excess glue away. And there is your completed sign. There's enough room at the bottom. You could add a name if you'd like, but just add the hanger of your choice or prop it up on a photo easel, whatever works for you. If you would like to purchase this file, I have provided that link in the details section of the video. If you enjoy these videos, please consider subscribing and liking, and I will see you next time.